Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please introduction. My name is Nur Asnisari. I will present an article. The title is The Advent of Problem-Based Learning Model 1 Critical Thinking Skill in Civic Education Learning. Abstract, introduction, method, and research discussion. Abstract. The research was conducted on the problem of the advance the problem-based learning models to improve student critical thinking skill in learning civic education in class 3. This study aims to determine the effect of the problem-based learning models on study critical thinking skill and the objective of the ability to analyze facts, configuration, and arguments, provide conclusion, and present in class 3. The research is a quasi-experiment using non-equivalence groups, practice, post-test control group design referring to this design. The effect of the problem-based learning model on critical thinking skill will be known through the comparison of the average post-test scores of critical thinking skill between the experimental class and the control groups to a test. Next, introduction. Divide and define in that civic learning on the material of Pancasila volumes has not been albeit to provide critical thinking skill in relation to analysis and solving problem that exist readily. So this critical thinking ability and in civic learning must be done through learning. The makes study play a more active role during learning activity. The problems for the learning is still not ideal, especially the recent observation made as 3 winter elementary school class 3 with still every teacher correct the learning system so that the learning process activity online research information provided by the teacher. Next, methods. The research is a quasi-experimental study that aims to determine the effect of applying the problem-based learning model on study critical thinking. The experimental design also is a non-equivalence group practice test control group design. By referring to design, the effect of the problem-based learning model on critical thinking skill will be known through a comparison of the main post-test classes of critical thinking between the experimental class and the control group to test. Visually, the design can be seen in the following picture. The respective experimental group class and class A, control group and class B. Skill in the experimental class, the percentage of students who were able to think critically. Least we contact crisis still good. 74.7% is much difference for the percentage of students from the control class only research 40.74 and the same category. Thus, it can be concluded the critical thinking skill of students whose learning use the problem-based learning model are better when compared to learning using the inquiry model. the ability to focus on the problem. The experimental class 3A can focus on the problem better when compared to the control group 3B. The CAM-BC and the verdict of study category is very good for experiment 3A, raising 25.93. And the good category, the study presentation for experimental class 3A raised 44.44%. Thus, the percentage of studies who were in losing category is category as good, and the aspect of the ability to focus one problem for experimental class 3A with 7.73%. This percentage is much different for the percentage of Group 3B with only raised 11.11% and the same category. The first section and the diagram above show the in terms of the data present, and the diagram above show the from the aspects of the ability to ask and answer questions. The percentage of study from class 3A is more than of group 3B. The percentage of students who were less categories is good for the experimental class 3A with 55.56%. This percentage is much different when compared to the percentage of students from the control group who only received 29.63%. The data and the diagram above show the terms of the ability to make and assess an observation. The experiment class 3B is better when compared to group 3B. This is conducted by the percentage of student categories is less good for experimental class 3A. It's 5.19, while for control group 3B it's only 70.37. The diagram above shows the non-one the group excites excellence and making and assessing inductive inferences. However, class 3A with done the percentage of studying in group 3B and assess conclusion. The percentage category good and the ferment class 3A is 33.30%. Will 3B yes 7.41%. So, and data diagram above show the experimental class 3A set and the description of the result of the first version data analysis of critical thinking skill above. The twins can be calculated namely first, and all expense of observation of critical thinking ability. Class 3A is more proven the class B, second and vice expressity of observation of critical thinking, but the experimental class and the control group experienced difficult and the aspect of making an assessment and the type conclusion that can be seen from the face no one from the control group, and the experimental class was category is very good assessing calculation and editing. The good category was only 30.30%. of experimental class A, students will from group 3 4.40%. Okay, the last conclusion. Aspects of critical thinking skill and learning criticism education with the influence of the problem-based learning model, the understanding of observation data analysis, of critical thinking skill, indicator of the ability to focus on the problem, indicator of asking and answer, clarifying question, assessing and observation, assessing conclusion, assessing the ability. There is every post test value as had by the experimental class 3 is class 3A is 79.29%, while the control class 3B is 67.25. The difference is significant from 6,685. So, with a rate of 52 and 20 interval of 96%. Okay, thank you.